The Garbage Pail Kids Movie. It doesn't get any grosser than this, as the tagline at the bottom there says. And this is, right up there, an MGM production, a Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production. And I don't just say that to bring up the studio that has brought us this film, but I've realized something very peculiar about MGM and its association and production of this movie that I thought we'd go ahead and note and bring up as I move over to some internet browsing, put on some readers. Okay. So Metro, if I spelled this wrong, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. All right, so we all know the logo. Film buff, seasoned film buff, or casual film viewer, whoever you might be, you should be very familiar with this logo as I expand this window a little bit to kind of show some close-up on this here. Okay, so you see Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer here. And this film ribbon that's around the Roaring Lion, the trademark Roaring Lion, as I click on things to the Wikipedia page. Actually, I'll visit the Wikipedia page just briefly for this. Well, is an American media company founded in 1924 that produces and distributes feature films and television programs based in Beverly Hills, California. Does it go into the detail that I'm looking for? It might. History, 20s and 30s, all this fun stuff. Okay, I think I'll just cut back to, all right, so we see the ribbon film that's around the lion here. We have these three words that are imprinted into the film ribbon. And I'm going to pronounce this as best I can. Ars gratia artis, or ars art. Not to sound juvenile or anything. Ars gratia artis is written across there. Then we have the lion, and this whole ribbon arrangement around it is really cool. And just knowing about my own branding, surrealist with the real going around stuff, maybe that'll be a little bit of inspiration for my own art. Anyhow, we have Ars gratia artis going over the lion there in the MGM logo. But I specifically want to look up what those terms mean, and I've heard of what that means before. I just want to verify. Ars gratia, MGM meaning. It's like I've Googled this recently or something like that. Okay, Ars gratia artis, MGM meeting, founded in 1924. MGM operate. Oops, let's see if I can switch back. Scale this window down so we can see things like normal, kind of like that. Art for art's sake. Founded in 1924, MGM operated under the motto Ars gratia artis, a Latin phrase meaning art for art's sake. Really cool bit of tidbit and really cool slogan saying, I guess, that I kind of adopt for myself. Art for art's sake. To produce art or to produce things, films, motion picture, or any other kinds of makings or creation from, this is getting very philosophical and deep, any kind of creative medium, creating from or for any kind of creative medium, just for the sake of making art, just for the sake of making something, art for art's sake. So very cool and cool bit of trivia for the rest of you out there who may or may not know that. Okay, so now we'll jump back. And I'll remove that for a moment. All right, so knowing that, art for art's sake in the MGM logo, just kind of think about that a little bit. Just go ahead and connect the two things going on here. MGM, which, yes, they produced this movie. I'm sure they've produced a number of other movies along this vein, along this feel and mood and weirdness and everything it's all getting into later on. They still produced this movie. With their logo on that, and by their slogan that I'm sure still holds to the studio, and I'm sure the studio still held as they were producing this and distributing this, Art for Art's Sake from MGM. And we have the Garbage Pail Kids Movie. Here's the back of the disc case, and I'll explain why I have this disc case to begin with. We have the back of this disc case, which, as I'm trying to fit myself in the screen here, we have at the top, the retro cult classic is back in those big bold letters. Then we have this whole paragraph down here, kind of explaining, looks like some different quotes from different kinds of critics. And then getting into kind of the premise, kind of getting into the overall of what the movie is all about down there in that second paragraph. And then we have the Garbage Pail Kids all across here, the 6 puppets. One that makes up each of the personalities are from the Garbage Pail cards. So we have where's the nerdy guy right there with the pimples, and he has glasses. This is very hard to see, I'm sorry. And the baby guy right there, I think the greaser is in that far left side, and then the snotty ones and the vomity ones are kind of buried in there. Then we have these fun pictures that show the stuff that's in the movie, yada yada. Quick side note. I remember when I was growing up and looking at, the VHS cases to begin with in the 90s, and then the DVD cases. I like to look at kind of these pictures down below to see what bits are in the movie or what kind of look forward to in the movie if I haven't seen the movie before. But this case for the Garbage Pail Kids is definitely no different. We have Dodger, the main boy, right down there, framing myself and everything, and then we have Dodger and the antique store manager. The Garbage Pail puppets are right in there in that picture, and then we have Tangerine and Dodger, and I think the rest of the gang right in that picture over there. And continuing on a little bit more, we have all the different credits down here from the studio, the producers, director, and the actors and the different big names that are in the credits. The runtime, PG, as the rating. Which is, I'm just kind of getting these weird, slimy vibes, just seeing just that rating, knowing all the weird and creepy and gooey and slimy stuff that happens in the movie. Okay, so there's your fun little tour of of the movie case. And I'll go ahead, put the reading glasses back on, and break down what each specific thing on the case says. So we have, like I pointed out earlier, the retro cult classic is back at the very top in the green letters. The retro cult classic. You know, there are a few other movies around this time period that are also considered classics, especially by today's standards. Like Pulp Fiction is one. Shawshank Redemption is another classic. Well, maybe culty-ish. But Pulp Fiction, that's a big cult classic. The retro cult classic is back, as that big first quote is printed at the top here. Then we get into the 2 big paragraphs at the back of the case. Vile, smelly, rude, ugly from Variety. I'm not sure those are compliments. Your favorites, grime bandits, not necessarily crime bandits, but grime bandits, because, grime, gross. Bandits come to life with all the farts, snot, and vomits you can take, if you're able to take any of that. In this hilarious, that's not in quotes, it's just the regular word hilarious, cult classic, there's that term again, full of gross out humor, that's in quotes, which is a direct quote from the New York Times review, or some kind of review from the New York Times, based on the wildly popular and hilariously gross retro icons, which I'll kind of give that I'll give that the bone, or the pass. I guess I'll give that the pass, since this is based on the 1980s, 1970, mid-1970s-ish trading card game of the Garbage Pail Kids, same characters and same kind of, grossness style and everything. Based on that card game, the Garbage Pail Kids movie, with the R registered trademark on there, stars Anthony Newley from Dr. Dolittle and Katie Barberi, Not Quite Human 2. I would consider this Not Quite Human 3. As well as Mackenzie Aston, The Facts of Life. Mackenzie Aston. Can I look that up real quick? Because if you're like me, that last name is probably striking a bit of a familiar chord with the Aston last name. Let's see if I can fit things back in my window here. Okay, Mackenzie Aston and Sean Aston. Okay, I was doing a little bit of preliminary research after the movie with all the weird curiosities I was grasping from the movie. Okay, so how the two are related. Are Mackenzie Aston and Sean Aston related? Younger half-brother of actor Sean Aston, son of Patty Duke and John Aston, was accepted to Johns Hopkins University, but did not enroll. Brother-in-law of producer Christine Aston. So yeah, they are related to this producer. Not sure what Christine Astin has done, but younger half-brother of Sean Astin. So there we go. We have a Sean Astin-esque type of actor in this piece. As a perfectly nice teenager who discovers the kids, being the Garbage Pail Kids here, to his disgust. When Dodger, played by Astin, the main boy, when Dodger accidentally releases the kids from their magical trash can prison, all smell breaks loose. All smell breaks loose. Despite their offensive habits and attitude problems, Dodger soon becomes fond of the kids, but when messy Tess, I kind of feel like I'm telling a bedtime story, or like a story time with my glasses here. Like, story time! Let's read the back of this Garbage Pail Kids disc here. But when Messy Tessie, Foul Phil, Valerie Vomit, and the whole Misfit crew, yes, Messy Tessie, Valerie Vomit, and Foul Phil, which I'm reiterating again, are the iconic characters of this movie and the iconic characters from the original trading card game. So when when all of them and the whole Misfit crew join his fight against thuggish bullies, and I'll get into these kinds of bullies later, their efforts just might land them behind bars at the state home for the ugly, and I am not making that up, and that is not some kind of exaggeration. State home for the ugly. Let's see if I can. So it's right there. I don't know how well you can see that. State home for the ugly refers to it in the synopsis right here, and that is indeed in the movie. Oh gosh. Okay, finishing off the rest of the information on the back of the case here. Atlantic Entertainment Group presents, and this is through the credits portion. Right there, at the bottom of the case. And the Atlantic Entertainment Group presents a Tops with 2 P's, Tops Chewing Gum production. The Garbage Pail Kids Movie, starring Anthony Newley, Mackenzie Astin, Katie Barbarian, featuring the Garbage Kids Gang, trademark, director of photography Harvey Genkins. Okay, decent work-ish, not really. Co-producer Michael Lloyd and Melinda Palmer. Co-producers. They did that job. Written by Melinda Palmer and Rod Apatow. Writing team, supervising producer John Strong. Executive producers Thomas Coleman and Michael Rosenblatt. Produced and directed by Rod Apatow. Yep, some shared responsibility with writing and producing there. PG rated, parental guidance suggested, widescreen 16:9, so at least it was shot in widescreen 16:9. It wasn't this pretentious or maybe cheesy like 4:3 square aspect ratios. You know what I mean? Where it looks older fashioned or looks like it was made in the 30s, 40s, 50s, wherever. Approximate feature runtime, 1 hour, 37 minutes. So slight good news that it's under 2 hours. Still bad news that it's considered a feature film and it's more than an hour long. In color, produced in 1987, and the rest of this kind of stating in Dolby Digital and DVD video case right here. And I really, really wish that I could just read off the back of this disc, the back of this DVD case, and consider this good and walk away. Okay, sweet, I'm done. But no, I'm not quite done because I watched this movie, which is partly why I'm holding this case right now. Okay, so I suppose to start from the beginning, why I even have this DVD case, why I have this DVD case in the first place, why I even watched the movie in the first place when I really, really didn't, and I had the choice to decline on this movie when I sort of strategically agreed to take on this movie and not, like, push it back farther or anything. So, as many of you film buffs would know, every year we have the Academy Awards, as there's something in my eye, and try to scratch that out. Okay. Every year we have the Academy Awards to, well, in one way or another, to some extent or another, honor some of the big movies, or mostly the artsy movies, diverse movies, honor and give awards and recognition and yada yada to all the different movies that came out over 1 year. And so, like, the movies that have come out this year in 2022 are going to be honored in the Academy Awards. Don't need to read anymore. Read for now, are going to be honored in the next year's Academy Awards next year in February. So last year, myself and 3 other friends of mine would watch over as many movies as we could over the course of the year, and then kind of make mental notes of what we liked, what we didn't like, different movies that we saw and didn't see and everything. And then once the Oscar nominations were announced early in the morning, sometime earlier this February or so, we kind of tuned in to the broadcast one way or another, either live or online, and then kind of saw what different movies were nominated for different kinds of categories, like Best Actor, Actress, Supporting Actress, Cinematography, Director, Foreign Language Film, and all those fun little things and gadgets and everything, sound, production design in 25 categories or so, as you're familiar with, all the way down to Best Picture and everything. And then, based on that, we would hopefully start to catch up on more movies that were nominated for the Oscars, specifically nominated for the Best Picture Oscars, and do a little research on what movies have won different awards, what different recognitions different movies have been nominated for or recognized for, yada yada, all that different film buffy nerdery type of stuff. And then my friends and I would then try to predict which movies would win. And I'm just going to minimize one window over here and another window over here. We would all try to predict which movies that we would think would win Oscars in different categories in the upcoming awards ceremony. Earlier this year was like in mid-March or so, early March, late April, and we would like print out our ballots or make digital copies of our ballots and check off which movies we were predicting would win in different categories. And it then becomes a contest, all of us competing against each other to see who would be right, who would be wrong, who's predicting different movies correctly or incorrectly, and whoever wins, this probably sounds lame to most of you who aren't part of our group, but whoever wins just has bragging rights and wins the game, which for us is a very, very big deal to be able to win and have bragging rights and finish the whole game and get the most amount of predictions correctly. And another big perk of winning is you don't have to perform, do the punishments that was given to you. Watch the movie punishment that was given to you. So each of us assign a movie that's bad or disliked by a different person in the group. So I would come up with a movie that this friends wouldn't like, that this friend wouldn't like, and this friend wouldn't like. If I win the contest, someone else would pick a movie that I wouldn't like, that someone else wouldn't like, that another friend wouldn't like. So we would each pick, one movie for each person in our group that we don't think that that each person wouldn't like, whatever movie that each person wouldn't like, yada yada, and all that stuff. And so whoever wins obviously gets first place, bragging rights. They don't have to watch any of the bad movies that were given to them. They are in first place and they win everything. Whoever's in second place, they watch the bad movie assigned to them by whoever won the game, and then everyone behind that second place winner watches the movie assigned to them. So on and so forth, trickles down. Whoever is in last place watches all the bad movies that were assigned to them, watches the bad movies assigned to them by whoever got first place, second place, third place, and so on. And so this past year, I lost once again. I think the year before, I think I won above one other friend. I don't totally remember. I'm just too used to losing at this point, like losing by 2 or 3 votes, just because some of the categories get very, very difficult to vote for. It's usually like the actor, acting, supporting, the acting categories that's very difficult to vote for, just because of, at least in my head, like really great talent is nominated just about each year, and it's often very hard for me to choose who would win in different ceremonies, and I don't always have the chance to catch up on all the different talents who have been in movies over the past year. And so anyway, needless to say, all of that kind of stuff. Lost this past contest by like 3 or 4 points, by a pretty big substantial pointage or so. I got like a majority of my ballots. I got about 3/4 of my ballot or so correct. I don't have my ballot on hand. I got most of my ballot correct. Pretty much all the technical awards I got correct. I did not predict Best Picture right. I thought Power of the Dog would get Best Picture, as well as a couple of acting categories, but nope, I lost like 4 acting categories or so, and so I lost to my 3 other friends. And so, for those of you curious, I have to watch Avengers, the Avengers movie, not the Joss Whedon one. That's actually really cool and really fun, from 1998, that I have been told is very bad and not very pleasant to watch through, but I'm still kind of curious about that. In 2012, from Roland Emmerich, that I really want to check out, because I'm sort of wanting to catch up on more Roland Emmerich, having seen Moonfall earlier this year, so 2012 I have to catch up on. And if you can fill in that last extra gap for the other movie that I had to watch from my good friend Terry, who, I don't know if you like this movie or not. I don't know if he per se likes this movie or not. And he's watched this a few times. Had his potty humor satisfied and had his good potty humor run with this movie. And I guess one other detail I can go into, we are able to veto, a rule that I implemented recently, we are able to veto one movie each round. And so once the Oscars have passed and the results have been tabulated and everything, and we challenge each other, which, you lost below me, so I challenge you with this bad movie, I punish you with this bad movie. That person who you are challenging can veto one time. If you are challenged with the movie that's like really bad or really unpleasant, or you want a choice to choose a different movie, if something's just really unpleasant, however they're punishing them, however you're being punished with, you can refuse just one time, then they give you one other choice, one other movie, and that's basically the movie you have to go with. I had the choice to veto this movie, and here I am who didn't veto this movie, and kind of my train of thought has been, if I watch this movie and just get it over with, then Terry or anybody else in my group or whoever, mostly just him, doesn't have to bother me with this movie ever again. I basically get off the hook from having to watch this movie. My train of thought is, if I vetoed this movie this time around, like next year or the year after that or the year after that, he can bring this movie up again. Like, I challenge you to watch this movie. So I can either veto this movie over and over again, or hope one year he forgets about this movie, or I can just watch this terrible garbage, as I'll go into more detail in a moment, watch this terrible garbage now and be done with it. Not have to worry about the terrible garbage anymore, and hopefully not have to run into a terrible movie again with him in the future, so, which I will be vetoing more often. So, I just ran head straight into the wall, very, very reluctantly, but I just ran head first into this movie, checked it out, got it done. And we'll just go ahead and talk about this and just run head first into my thoughts and the notes that I actually have here on screen. Okay, watch the movie. Now let's dive right back into the badness and the garbaginess. Oh boy. So, I guess a little bit of background context really quick. I've watched a couple of reviews on YouTube in years past, particularly from the nostalgia critic who has watched over this movie. I knew what I was going into. It's not like I had zero clue what the whole movie was about or what was going on in the movie. I had a pretty decent idea of what was going on in the movie, and even watching the movie, I was reminded of some of the ridiculous things that happen in the movie, like, oh yeah, this terrible thing happens. Oh yeah, this cheesy thing keeps happening in the movie. Yay, I get to relive these type of things now. So I had some idea of what I was going into this movie, not going in totally blind. Fortunately, I've kept hearing things over the years. Okay, and now to bring out my actual thoughts that I know Terry and a couple of my other friends are maybe somehow curious about. All right, so in my own words to describe the movie: ridiculous, disgusting, uncomfortable, and inappropriate. I mean, okay, I guess I'll pick up the disc case for more demonstrations. Threw it far. Kind of came open. Holding the case up as a prop and to demonstrate my points, giving myself something to show off and everything. I mean, look at that. And just from the title and everything, I mean, the art here looks kind of like a UFO type thing. If you look at that, it has that green glow in the middle. It kind of looks like a UFO or like one of the ugly motherships from Independence Day or something like that. But no, see, these are two hands right here. You see, so yeah, those two hands right there, they're kind of peeking underneath the lid of the garbage can and that green glow and everything. And it doesn't get any grosser than this tagline underneath. I guess that maybe is trying to be fun, maybe it's trying to have the gross humor just right there on the cover to appease the 3 or 5-year-olds, especially the 3 or 5-year-old boys who are obsessed with all their droppings and all that good fun stuff and everything. But no, ridiculous, disgusting, uncomfortable, through and through, just ridiculous filmmaking and ridiculous idea to take, trading card game from the 70s, 80s, whenever that was big and popular. See, this is the part that I keep going back and forth on. While it's natural to take like a popular franchise, which obviously is done to death nowadays, but hey, this was happening back in decades earlier too. Take this popular franchise, this popular toy kids thing, and turn it into a production, turn it into a feature film. And same thing happened with the Garbage Pail Kids trading cards that were also, I believe, a parody of the Cabbage Patch Kids. Oh, just ridiculous and garbagey through and through. Bad directing, not great acting, very cringy, very, very cringy, very uncomfortable. Barely even a movie for kids. barely a movie for like 5 or 6-year-olds. Like, as long as your child isn't forming complete sentences or still having, some of the trouble talking and still kind of developing speech and everything, as long as they're under the age of 5 or 4, maybe a good enough babysitter type of movie, maybe a good enough disposable type of movie. I don't know. It's somewhat okay for the younger kids to watch, somewhat not. I mean, there is definitely a peak age for kids to be watching this, so just discussing, uncomfortable, cringy, under the skin, unnerving and everything, and inappropriate is what I'll get into here as well. Dodger, the main character, young boy, is blossoming into this romantic relationship with a girl named Tangerine, who is, like, taller than him, and she, along with a handful of other bullies who are in the movie, all look like they're in their mid-20s. Let's see if I can pull up a couple of things just for reference here. Garbage Pail Kids Movie. Oops, not videos. IMdB or images. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yep. Look at all this. Look at this. Look at all that. And there's the puppets and Garbage Pail Kids there. One of the puppets. Oh, so that's like Jabba. No. That's Jabba and Snot and the Vomit. Oh boy, there's a state home for the ugly, a prison for literally like the ugly members of society and the unwanted abnormal members of society. I wonder if there's a picture in here somewhere. Maybe I'll just Google that real quick. If this review is a little bit all over, this review or these thoughts on are all over the place, kind of the nature of this, right? Stay home for the ugly, Garbage Pail Kids. Here we go. Yes, that is an actual sign from the movie for this prison that holds, like I said, anything that's like abnormal or ugly or strange in any kind of way. Maybe this picture can kind of show. So there's two pale here. So this guy is too pale. There's too silly down here, which is the clown. Too hairy up here. I think this guy here is too crippled, like he's holding the walking stick, too crippled. There's Santa in the background for too fat. And there's like too this, too that, too fat, too ugly, too this, too whatever. Here's too silly, too crippled. Literally, it's a prison, and these look like bird cages or like cages literally at a pound. What does this meme say? You cannot be serious. And yet Joan Rivers, Michael Moore, Carrots, kind of a crazy, ridiculous joke. Garbage Pail Kids Movie. But yeah, Stay Home for the Ugly. Literally like these police guards driving in a truck that looks like it's meant for taking dogs to the pounds. Like kind of like the scraps truck. Here in Washington, where like strays might be thrown into the truck and taken away into the pounds. There's literally this truck and these two officers, I guess, tracking down, or once they're given a tip to go track down some ugly member of society or whatever. There's this quick scene where a girl is playing games with her other kid friends, and she's wearing a mask, this ugly mask, and the neck is thrown over her head, and then the police catch up with her and try to get her and everything. I think the mask comes off. She's like, "What are you doing? What's going on, guys?" And the police say, "Oh, sorry. Well, it's not Halloween, so you should not be wearing that ugly mask." From the Stay Home for the Ugly. Ah! Ridiculous. I'm just sounding like a screaming goat now. So, anyway, I was thinking about pulling up the trailer. But this is good enough for the rest of you who had the mercy of not being exposed to this. Here's the whole gang. And this is the antique shop owner. So this guy has an antique shop. There's a garbage pail in the middle of his shop. I forget how the kid puppet things are inside the pail, how they get summoned outside of it in the first place. And yeah, there's everybody. Okay, but yep. Just the whole gang and the whole craziness that's going on in this movie. All right, back to my notes. So the inappropriateness. Yep, that's where I got sidetracked here. Okay, jumping back. Garbage Pail Kids, Tangerine. So Dodger. Maybe we'll just open up that character first. Dodger's a little kid. He looks like he's kind of 13 or 14. Here's the shirt outfit that the Garbage Pail Kids wear. Oh, this one is pleasant. Anyway, back to the kids. Wearing this shirt, soldiery out, decked out outfits that the kids put together. He puts together to impress his girl. He's like 13 or 14 in the movie. There he is again. And then, oh boy. Okay, there's Tangerine there. And then again, and inappropriateness, like she hangs up her legs as she's talking to Dodger. She gets pretty flirty, pretty kissy and everything. The bullies are one of the bullies in the cheetah. I almost said Cheeto, but cheetah top there. What about the bully? Here we go. This is a pretty decent sample of the bully. So these three people, and kind of technically Tangerine, are the bullies in this movie who look like they're in their mid-20s, and they get introduced like 15 minutes or so into the movie. They're chasing Dodger down. They're not even shouting at him like, hey, bud, hey, creep, what are you doing, whatever. They're just chasing him through a park, and then he slips or something. They grab him or whatever, do the whole turn him upside down, hold him by his legs, shake it, try to get the change out of his pants, and instead he just pulled this slip of paper out from the back of his pocket and then drop him into some water. Bullying by these guys who look like they're in their early 20s. Like, get a job or something. Or why were these older looking actors cast for this role to bully around 15-year-old or whatever? I guess there are 19, 20-year-olds out there who don't have a life, who like to bully around 15-year-olds. I'm certain that's out there. Anyhow. Okay. And then the inappropriateness was kind of like I said, Tangerine gets very flirty. The two Dodger is like romantically pursuing Tangerine, and Tangerine slowly starts to like flirt back with him and meld back with him, gets very kissy and very flirty and kind of shows off her body a little bit. And then specifically funny enough, the climax of the film, there's this whole, I'll do back to full camera view here. There's a full-on fashion show that Dodger and the Garbage Pail Kids put together because they all made all these different costumes and different outfits that Tangerine requested from Dodger, but Dodger's like, hey, Garbage Pail Kids, you guys are great at this stuff. Can you make more outfits for me? Because I really want to impress this girl. They're doing a whole fashion show and everything. The Garbage Pail Kids get in, start making a mess of everything, pulling down clothes and everything. And then, like, the 24 or so models are, like, scrambling around trying to get to safety and everything. And the kids start ripping off the outfits from all these different girls as everyone is just scrambling around like crazy. The outfits are being ripped off by the kids, just revealing, like, the bikinis and the undergarments, the lingerie and everything that the ladies are wearing. So, like, we have mostly naked girls scrambling around in this scene, in this PG-rated movie that's for, like, however younger kids might be, newborns to, heck, like 12-year-olds or whatever. I mean, yes, there's been worse, or there's been just as much stuff in other kind of kids' movies, but there are definitely parts in this movie that are pretty frequent and pretty, like risque and mature and romanticized and all that weird and quirky stuff. And again, Tangerine, who looks like she's in her early 20s or so. Not sure if she's quite that old, actually, in the movie, but, like, just the weird relationship and the weird romanticism that develops between the two, between Dodger and Tangerine, just creepy, weird, and not quite sitting right and everything. All right, and then I'll get the puns out of the way, getting the garbagey, trashy puns out of the way here. This belongs in the garbage pail, belongs in the trash. All the puppet kids belong in the garbage pail, as well as the whole movie, the script and the director. Bottom of the barrel, dumpster fire. This all belongs in the garbage pail. This all belongs in the trash. Trashy movie, garbagey movie, yada yada. You can go forever and ever if you wanted to with that. Okay, pull this back together. Okay. So gleaming from this, as a kids movie, quote unquote, I've heard excuses with previous kids movies have come out in the past, like Pixels and the Emoji Movie and a number of others, like, oh, it's a kids movie, it doesn't have to be competent, there doesn't have to be a plot, there doesn't have to be, like, any real thought or substance or interest or intrigue or a great concept. It can be brainless, you can do whatever the crap it wants. As I'm shaking around my headset, you can do whatever the crap it wants, you can just hop onto whatever weird franchise type thing that's happening, and it can be bad, it can be brainless and everything. Well, I think, especially given from this and what this movie is doing and what it's trying to do for kids to, not only to be a movie for this popular trading cards, but to be trashy, potty humor, kids humor in a kids movie, there is such a thing as a bad kids movie. And while some kids movie can be somewhat dumb and amusing and kind of brainless and quick, for the most part, they really don't think that they can be really dumb or really terrible. Like, you can't just put up the camera and film all these garbagey, trashy, weird things going on with all these garbagey, weird kids, and I'm just revisiting kind of the whole rant that I had inside my head as I was watching this movie. I think it really gets under my skin when movies that are like made for kids are allowed to be just ridiculous and too much dumb stuff happening, and really just little kiddish, childish, toddlerish, and even the parents or the older adults can't even stand sitting through, and it's just unpleasant for everybody to sift through, or at least it's unpleasant for everybody who's like old enough to recognize just how unpleasant the movie is. But just thinking back to and describing how terrible and how unnerving everything was, and how uncomfortable everything was, and how ridiculous everything was, this is that kind of bad kids movie, and there are really no excuses for something like this to come along, or kids movies nowadays to be brought up again, or to be made with that kind of careless and weak quality and weak concepts to begin with. And oh gosh, I'm just losing my words here, and no other words can describe just how numbingly and how mind-numbing that this has gotten, and how mind-numbing movies like this, and how this has somehow stood the test of time with a few other reviews I've seen on this movie online and everything, and how something like this can still stand, and how people still refer to this movie. Okay, moving on now. Watched the movie just last night, and over the last almost 24 hours, it didn't get under my skin. Well, it has gone under my skin just the more and more I think about it now. But like, I was terrified going into this movie to begin with, just knowing the amount of horror that I'd probably be going into with this movie. But I still sat through it and didn't really have any laughs or anything, just uncomfortable and blown away by how ridiculous different things was, how dumb and disgusting, and how just crazy bad all kinds of different aspects of like the filmmaking and the acting. And I can't really even bring up the proper terms of like film production, of like the talent, acting, production, and creativity and camera work and all those actual qualities you would bring up with talking about a movie. Can't even bring any of that stuff up because that stuff just didn't work, or was dumb, or was ridiculous throughout the movie. But kind of now as I think about it, like once the movie ended, it didn't traumatize me or unnerve me as much as I thought it would, as much as I thought it would. And my brain just keeps getting scrambled with that more and more as I keep thinking about back on the movie. So it is unnerving, still actually pretty traumatizing as I'm bringing this up again. And like I said earlier, dumbest bullies in a movie, bullies that are young adults chasing a 15 around, these bullies that look like they're in their early 20s or so, just chasing this kid around. Hey, where's your money? We want your money. This script is telling me to ask you for your money, because this is how cliched 1980s, 1970s bullies function, I guess. And, well, I'm sure while some bullies back then, or some bullies in like middle school, elementary school, whatever, talk like, hey kid, give us your money. Hey kid, we want your money. Hey stupid head kid, give us your money. Or you're ugly, or let's beat you up, or whatever. But still, these guys are. I don't need to bring the browser back up again. Where was I? Dumbest bullies in the movie, early 20s. What are they doing chasing around a 15-year-old kid? It's ridiculous. Go get a job if you're trying to get money from them. I'm trying to remember what specifically they're doing in the movie. I guess just being bullies or standing around being tough. Or I think they keep tracking down Dodger, and they find out about the puppet kids, and then that's when they go into the antique shop, retrieve the puppet kids, turn them into the Stay Home for the Ugly. So just being jerks, being terrible, weird people. Dumbest bullies. The 80s synth beat music that plays over 80 to 90% of the movie. It felt like there were 3, 4, 5 total songs, total music tracks in the whole soundtrack. There's some like whimsical, magical, mysterious type of music that happens when the kids come out of the garbage pail and in the antique shop as the antique guy is kind of talking Dodger around and talking about the different things that he has. There's some magical, whimsical music going on. Otherwise, it's this, I don't even know how to describe it much more, but just like the 80s beat synth music I'm sure you can look it up or YouTube it yourself, just straight from the 80s synth music that just plays over most of this movie, plays over some of the dramatic bits, it plays over scenes that where it really doesn't fit, where the tone is really different from this fun, chilling, hip-hop type of beat. Like, no, music is playing over, like, drama or this sad bit. With a kid being bullied. Like, it plays over most of this movie, and it's really out of place. And it just feels like this same tune and this same beat, because it's a fun hip-hop 80s movie. We're just going to play this music throughout most of the movie. Like I said, still feels like there's like 3, 4, 5 only type of songs in this movie. Very narrow soundtrack. Okay, one of the kids' name is Alligator. Like A-L-I Gator, like alligator. If you listen closely to that, so Allie sounds like a girl's name, like a young girl's name. Let's see if I can bring up, demo this again real quick. Okay. I can't even type anymore. Garbage Pail Kids Movie. Alligator. This thing's a boy. Oh, look how crazy that looks. I mean, yes, there's kind of longish, frizzy hair or whatever. This character has a deep voice. It's not a girl by any means. I mean, there's like, I think a couple of girl puppets in this. Alligator thing isn't in this photo. But in here, that's a boy alligator. And I mean, it's alligator, meant to be the pun, meant to be the word, I guess. And it's kind of boy-looking. Yep, there's Wendy Winston, the farter, over on that right side. Anyway, making a whole dramatization over the name and why he's a boy, Allie is a girl name, whatever. All right, the main point, there's my notes, and there's me. The main point is I make this huge thing about it. He has a toe obsession. And I'm not talking fetish, though maybe in the movie it's a slight fetish, whatever. Like, he craves eating toes. I guess they look like hot dogs or something like that, which is my guess. I don't remember the movie explaining it. I don't think the movie even does explain it. Minimize the window that keeps popping up. He wants to eat them, basically. Like the people's toes. I think we're first introduced to this when the boy is bathing in one scene. The boy's foot, his leg is like propped up out of the end of the bathtub. His foot is kind of dangling there. And then here comes the green alligator's mouth coming in kind of slowly, and the teeth slowly surround it. And I think we cut out to a wider shot or something like that, and the boy retracts his foot or whatever happens. And as the scene continues, the boy is bathing in the antique shop, not at home or anything like that. I guess he doesn't have a home, can't go home, whatever case. That's not being explained in this weird movie. The boy is in the antique shop, Dodger's in the antique shop in bathing, surrounded by all the puppets, surrounded by all the Garbage Patch Kids who are like looking on and looking in and like making their noises, maybe being gross and whatever, spitting and all that weird, gross stuff for like a minute or two. It's weird. It did not age well. That scene certainly did not age well. Maybe it's goofy to some people, whatever. No, that's not goofy. That's weird and creepy and everything. But yeah, alligator's toe obsession. First the boy's foot, and then a couple times he asks for toes, and then there's this bar. I just keep having to show off things here. Garbage Pail Kids Movie. Bar. This keeps bringing me back to the cards. The World's Toughest Bar is what it's called. I need to look for that specifically, don't I? The World's Toughest Bar, because this movie was written by 5-year-olds, 4 5-year-olds or younger. Yep, that's in the movie. That's a sign on this bar. The World's Toughest Bar. Let's go inside. There's the greasehead guy passing winds to this bartender. Okay, get out of here, get out of here. Oh, yes. So, at one point in the movie, the kid's kind of getting out of the antique shop. Let's see if I can zoom in and enlarge this a little bit. They get out of the kids get out of the antique shop and they go into this bar, the world's toughest bar, or the toughest bar in the world, as this is called. And then here's all these guys who look like they're part of a gang, like this biker gang. You know, the thin sleeve cutout, black shirts, black suit jackets on them. Maybe they're part of a bicycle game or whatever. The kids come in and start like wrecking havoc, making a mess, doing what they do, making a mess of everything. Farting, vomiting, spitting, and drooling, and all of the greasy, drooly stuff. And then this greaser kid guy like hops onto the counter and does his farting business. And then like one of the guys like, "Whoa, what are you doing? Hey, you and I can really work together. Yes, let's get together. Let's work together and everything." And the kids start working together with the biker gang, and I guess they're friends now in the toughest bar in the world, making friends with the Garbage Pail Kids. Yeah. Okay. Back here now. Oh yes, and then Alligator. This movie is actually about as off track as I keep feeling now. Back to Alligator, who would also be in the bar with the rest of the puppets. Keeps like looking down at the floor, at the guy's feet, at the guy's legs, looking for toes. There are a couple of guys, or a couple of people, maybe there are a couple of ladies, wearing sandals, open-toed sandals, and the alligator keeps like sniffing around or like eyeballing the toes and trying to grab them and bite them and everything. That's his repeated thing. Has cravings for other people's feet in just the hungriest way that he has. I guess that's just what he eats. That's what he craves all the time. Oh, so weird and so bad. Watching in the movie is much, much worse than hearing it from here. Okay. Going through here, toughest bar in the world. Definitely written by 5-year-olds, 4 or 5-year-olds. Stay home for the ugly, as I alluded to earlier. It's just the weirdest and most ridiculous and dumbest concept in the movie. I mean, I guess to this movie's sliver of credit, if I can give this movie that much credit, I can understand, lowercase u, understand this movie putting in like this force, so to speak, like these high stakes force that eventually is searching for ugly things or abnormal things that are in town, like too ugly, too fat, too creepy, or too silly like that clown is in that prison. And then, hey, here are these Garbage Pail Kids who are like the perfect fit for this Stay Home for the Ugly, that are this perfect fit for this evil force that are in town. Oh no, now they get snitched out by the tough boys that are in the movie, and then the Stay Home for the Ugly officers track them down and get them and shoved into the prison for the boys to come and track them down. So it acts as this conflict force that like the ugly kids are just right for this evil and ridiculous police force to track them down and to put them into their prison. So it serves as this, evil force that will inevitably get the kids, imprison them, and give them, our main characters, something to do. Give our main characters that big cause to break the kids out of prison because they were so helpful to Dodger, and Dodger really wants to be with the kids, but the kids are so ugly they got by the prison, the Stay Home for the Ugly prison. So we have that whole thing as outlandish and ridiculous and mean and insensitive, in other words you can use. The casting that look ugly put them in the prison, even a girl with an ugly mask that she apparently shouldn't wear if it's not Halloween. Because, yeah, this universe's rules and this universe's, gross and ridiculous stuff. Okay, so we have Vomit Girl, the girl who vomits on command. That's her big superpower and great superpower, however. This is not Arma de Armas from Knives Out. She does not vomit when she's lying, therefore as a great tool in the movie and everything. So, in the fashion show, when the Garbage Pail Kids have, like, gotten all the outfits and everything, and then they get on the gang, the bully gang, who are also in the fashion show, and the puppet kids start using their gross superpower, not superpowers, not that much respect at all, their gross abilities on the bullies to take the bullies down. Vomit Girl vomits on some bullies, and then she quotes from Sudden Impact. She quotes from Clint Eastwood's Sudden Impact, and she quotes, "Go ahead and make my day," I think it is. I'll look this up real quick. I just need to verify. Sudden Impact. quote. I think that's what she says. Hold up. Okay, I was right. Quotes from Sudden Impact. I think she says, "Go ahead, make my day," to the bullies, and vomits. Once that moment happens, my brain, it's been a long time since I've seen Sudden Impact. I don't remember nearly all of it. Like, I've watched, like, 1 or 2 movies before that were really bad, where the movie is quoting a much better movie than the movie actually is, or a much more, trademarked, or, much more iconic, much more standout movie, and I had that, "Oh, you did not," type of moment. I had the, like, wanting revenge on the movie for doing that, wanting revenge on that character for referring to a movie that it knows is much better than it. This really terrible thing quoting from a much greater thing. Just don't even try to impersonate Clint Eastwood, Vomit Girl. Anyhow. And then, as I was watching this and just passively taking in how garbagey everything is, I kind of looked back at the one movie punishment that I do remember. I think it was my first punishment. I don't remember the other punishments between my first one and this current one. But my first punishment, also from Terry, Batman and Robin. So, I really, really, really didn't want to watch that movie either. And this was before our whole veto system, so I watched it anyway. When I saw it in the first place, it was like laughable, ridiculous. Oh, here's Mr. Freeze's puns, Schwarzenegger, bad nipples, George Clooney. There's Robin. I don't really like Robin as a sidekick myself, but there's Robin all over the thing. And then, like, the last half of the movie is just boring and dumb and boring. Like, what's the point of any of this? And then, as I was watching Garbage Pail Kids and seeing all the ridiculous stuff happen and how bored I was actually getting during the last third or so of that movie, I then kind of flashed back to Batman and Robin and that first punishment that I had. Compared to Garbage Pail Kids, and I guess I'm saying this now, Batman and Robin ain't half bad. Batman and Robin is simply more entertaining and more interesting. I'll take Mr. Freeze's puns any day. Compared to Make My Day from freaking Vomit Girl. Okay. And as we wrap up here, hopefully sooner or later, as I lose my voice, I'll pause this real quick, get some water. The last pun that occurred to me, as I was... this may have been one of the first puns that came to me as I was watching through the credits. I'll do kind of a show and tell thing here. Well, I'll bring up the internet so I can show the pun specifically and where it's coming from. Resize. Garbage Pail Kids Movie. I think it's the editor. A pun for one of the crew members. Tracking this down. Okay, we have this right here. Film editing by Leon Carrier. Maybe it's pronounced Carrier. I'm just going to say Carrier. And M. Edward Sawyer. Reading glasses time. Okay, Leon Carrier. I guess this is the end of his career. Maybe it's pronounced career. I'm just going to say it career. It sounds like career. Career. Carrere. I guess this is the end of Leon Carrier's career. While we're here, is there anything else that he did? Oh, some X-Files. The original Charlie's Angels. It's been a long time since I've seen that. Is that all he's done? I'm sure he's done a few other things. I mean, the editing, objectively, in Garbage Pail Kids is fine. I mean, nothing remarkable or anything. I don't think it was bad, per se. I mean, nothing was super jarring or things cut out of the place or things cut out that were very noticeable. Looks like he did the X-Files, which I haven't seen myself. I've heard lots of great things about. Anyway, we have Leon Carrier. I guess Garbage Pail Kids was the end of his career. Okay, so there's all that. Jump back to just me here. Okay, probably the end of his career. Don't know if it actually was the end of his career, but nor do I care about that career. Oh, popping my back there. Rogue One, Star Wars story, much better movie than Garbage Pail Kids. Doesn't matter what you think about Rogue One, Star Wars Kids. Doesn't matter what you think about Rogue One, Star Wars story, much better than that movie. Oh gosh, talked through this movie. I guess I'll show here. Why not? Here's my notes here. Oh, perfect. I was literally going to zoom in to this bit right here. I typed these notes up on my phone. So these are directly from my phone. So there's the ridiculous, disgust, get the puns out of the way, all the puns and everything here, alligator's obsession, and there are the emojis right there. And cravings for other people's feet. Disgusting. Toughest bar in the world. Definitely written by 5-year-olds for 5-year-olds. Kind of has that Kids Bop vibe to it. Written by 5-year-olds for 5-year-olds. This movie, world's toughest bar in the world. Yada yada. So there's everything that I written down. Okay, with the bit of time that I have left, I took a peek at the IMdB trivia page for Garbage Pail Kids, like I always like to do for movies that I usually just watch. I like to check out this page and see some of the different names attached to it, and typically the trivia page to see what happened and all the fun, interesting stuff that happened. The trivia page for Garbage Pail Kids is particularly interesting and fun. Hold up. Okay, the trivia page for Garbage Pail Kids. Trivia pages are always fun for all kinds of movies, especially like the great movies I absolutely loved. Let's just take a look-see through here. John Carl Buechler was considered to direct the film. His version of the story was going to be straight-up horror film, which I think would have been more interesting. The Garbage Pail Kids would have spawned from radioactive sludge that had found its way into the garbage can filled with broken dolls, turning them into serial killers. Interesting. Probably not PG rated so much. All right, so here's kind of the beginning of the interesting things about, oops, as I cover things up. Let's see if I can move myself a little bit. Oops, not that. Come on, me. There we go. Move me down. Okay, Mackenzie Aston and Katie Barbary were dating in real life, and they broke up in the middle of the shooting. I wonder why. Maybe the movie didn't turn out so well for them, or maybe the forced romance or the forced romantic interest from Dodger dissolved it all and made it less of an authentic and comfortable relationship between them. Mackenzie Aston auditioned and signed. I'm trying not to scroll too high. This is difficult. Mackenzie Aston auditioned and signed onto this movie without telling his father, actor John Aston. When he was informed and given the script by his son, John thought the script was so bad he looked into getting Mackenzie out of the film. Which I guess didn't happen soon enough, or maybe soon after the fact. Here we go. Voice actor Jim Cummings is openly ashamed of taking part in this movie. I don't want to disrupt this too much. Which part did he play? Garbage Pail Kids Movie. Which puppet specifically is what I'm looking for. Going now? Okay. He was Greaser Greg / Nat Nerd here. Kind of makes sense that he played two parts, two puppets. I mean, I'm not going to revisit the movie to try to track down his voice. For those of you who may not know, Jim Cummings was Winnie the Pooh. The iconic, I can't mimic the voice. It's like this softy, nourishing, nurturing, oh boy, that type of voice for Winnie the Pooh. Iconic, wonderful. Everyone loves it. I loved it. Grew up with that. Greaser Greg, Nat Nerd. He was the greaser. I can kind of see that. Has this tough, greaser kind of voice. As I destroy my own vocal cords. Regretted doing this movie. Yep. So go back to Winnie the Pooh, Jim. All right. What else? Anything else interesting? Oh yeah, the Garbage Pail Kid facial puppets facial puppet heads required more detailed work for facial animation prior to filming because talking requires lip movement and tongue and teeth movement. The effects team didn't complete the heads on time. Rod Apatow made the film anyway, expecting the puppet head effects to improve during the film. All that the puppet mouths did was virtually a lot of this. I don't know how much. I'm sure most of the voice acting was in post-production in the voicing bays and not the actors on set talking, as the mouth movement is kind of up and down and erratic like this. Well, mostly like staying in place like that and not moving much at all. Very terrible. Definitely showed. Anything else? Director Rod Apatow's final directorial debut. I usually feel bad for directors who produce something really bad and then like that's it, that's all for them, because I have this philosophy that they could do better, they could seek out better opportunities afterward. I half feel bad, half not so much. The first live action feature film feature voice. I can't read or talk. I went up too high, didn't I? This is the first live action film to feature voice actor Jim Cummings. His next live action movie was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So, found the next great role. First ever movie to be based on trading card and sticker series? Because there are the Pokemon movies. Hold up. Okay, so the first Pokemon movie, Pokemon the first movie, was 1998. So the first movie based on the popular trading card series of Pokemon, 1998. Garbage Pail Kids is 1987. That stat is quite accurate. Move this over. First ever movie to be based on trading card series or sticker series. Yeah. Because of the film's critical and commercial failure, tentative plans for a sequel were abandoned, thank goodness, and obviously, I mean, there have been cases before, I think, where bad movies were given, like, 2 or 3 sequels, or you have a iconic blockbuster movie like Jaws that gets 3 terrible sequels after it. So, different directions that can go. Where are we? I'm trying not to cut things off. Final cinema feature of Anthony Newley, who would appear... final cinema feature for Anthony Newley, who I think is the antique shop owner. He would appear in different TV shows before his death in 1999. The car that Tangerine drives, the looking like 20s girl, dating Dodger... Not dodging a dating relationship with Dodger. That car belonged to Rod Apatow's son. So I'm sure that car got some fun mileage out of it. According to a YouTube user named after the Juice character, one of the bullies, the guy bully specifically, Juice is his name. Like juicy, like juice. Well, the drink Juice character, Anthony Newley, stayed to the end of this movie because he believed in the project. Well, that's one person. Nominated for Worst Picture at the Hastings Bad Cinema Society's 10th Annual Stinkers Bad Movie Awards. I guess not the Razzies, or maybe before the Razzies. In 1987, along with Ishtar Leonard Part 6, Spaceballs, and Who's That Girl? Spaceballs, quote-unquote, won the award instead. So Spaceballs was considered a bad movie at the time? That's a pretty popular Star Wars satire movie. Okay. Scramble through here. Now playing podcast, review the Garbage Pail Kids movie. This film received 3 quote-unquote recommends, so maybe those are fake recommends from this podcast thing. Anything else? I think that's just about it. So, yeah. Weird and quirky stuff in this movie that has suffered its good fair share of bad luck, and a couple of crew members have suffered their own bad luck. Okay. We'll look up some reviews real quick. Well, first of all, kind of alongside reviews, we'll look up a few reviews real quick to see what the good reviews have to say, whatever the good reviews have to say, and then solidify this anger and solidify how the movie actually is with looking at the bad reviews. So, when I was, here are all the different Amazon recommendations. I'm going to jump into Garbage Pail Kids, where I actually purchased the movie. So I looked all around online for a free version of the movie. Garbage Pail Kids movie. Just something I can stream real quick from online. Because I looked up on Netflix, just real quick, just in case. Was not on Netflix, thankfully. Netflix is sane enough to not have this movie. And then on Prime, it was unavailable in my region. I looked up VPN, which would allow me to watch movies from any region, obviously, how they're built. And that costs money, and the whole deal I have to get into. And I just kept looking, lots and lots of research. Where can I watch this for free? Where can I stream for this for free and not pay any money to watch this kind of a movie? Could not find any options. So I went to the other next best thing. I kept eyeing this $18. I'm going to resize my window. Apologies. Okay, I kept looking at this $18 deal here. And then I shared this with one of the guys who I competed in the Oscars with. Oh gosh, there's a $59.81 version of this. Did people actually pay for this? People probably actually paid for this. Anyway, I shared this $18 version with a friend of mine, and he's like, you have to be out of your mind. Why are you going to pay that much money for this movie? I'm telling him, I can't find any other choice on this. I can't find any other deal. This might be the least expensive deal I could find. Fortunately, I don't know if it was on this deal, but I looked for like another, oh my gosh, just go back. I looked at like one of these other selections, and then I clicked on see all buying options, and that's when I discovered what saved my skin was the used section. Everything that was like $5 and under. I only spent like $4.67 on this. Still a waste of $4. Much better than wasting $18. So, let's look at maybe a few of these other prices. Like I'm seeing here, $74.99. $74.99 for the DVD. $74.99 for the Blu-ray. $74.99 for the Blu-ray. People are buying this. There are over 1,300 reviews for this. 81% of these reviews are positive. 81% of these reviews are 5 stars. A bizarre classic. That's 5 stars. Let's jump into the shark a little bit. Well, should we let's real quickly look at the other options here. $17.99 for the DVD, $74.99 for multi-format, Blu-ray for, I think there's also a Garbage Pail Kids, I think it was at the top, 30 years of Garbage Pail Kids story, the Garbage Pail Kids story, because we all want, well, I was going to say, we all want a documentary on how this bad movie was made, but maybe we'll kind of talk about, oh, here's all the weird stuff that happened as this movie was made, here's the weird cult classic that this movie is now. Let's just real quickly look at, are there any other options? 1987 VHS, if you want to spend almost $75 on the VHS movie for this, to be nostalgic, there you go. Ooh, here's Twister. That was a fun movie to watch when I was a kid on Prime Video. Heck yeah, Resident Evil. Anyway, okay. All right. Click here. Over 1,300 reviews, 81% are 5 stars. What is happening? First off, it came the next day when I wasn't home or something like that. Childhood favorites. I loved this movie as a little kid and I hope my kids like it also. They had better not be a better parent than that. Okay, well, sidetrack here. Leave a comment below recommending other movies that people should watch, except for this one. What were some of your favorite movies watching as a kid that, I'll just say, aren't bad, that you like to watch today, that you would watch today, objectively great movies? I will start my top 3 favorite Disney movies that were my most favorite movies as a kid. Aladdin, the original Disney classic, obviously, and then The Rescuers and The Rescuer Down Under. Those are 3 easy, great kids movies for your kids to watch. My other personal favorites, the Lego Movie, say whatever you want on that movie, great movie, love it. Lego Batman movie is really fun. Wallace and Gromit are these shorts, clay-animated shorts from the Aardman Studios that also did Chris the Were-Rabbit for Wallace and Gromit. There are lots of great kids movies out there, guys. There are lots and lots of great kids movies out there. You do not have to settle on this one. There are lots and lots of great kids movies out there. I love this movie as a little kid and hope my kids like it also. They're not going to watch that movie. I just listed, and hopefully you guys are listening other great kids movies that are out there. What's supposed to get here Friday? Can't wait for my son to come home from school to watch it with him. Horribly watchable. That's fairly accurate. Set the standard for so bad it's good. Can't be viewed in one sitting. I dare you. I watched it in one sitting. I had to take a drink every time. You ask yourself what they were thinking. Then again, don't. I'm not going to be responsible for your alcohol poisoning. You can make all kinds of different drinking games with this. The 80s, my early childhood. Oh boy. Fun, gross, one of a kind, great classic. It's not real. It's kind of a classic, not great. Great oldie. Love this movie and setting up a collection of all the old favorites. No, don't put it in your collection of old favorites. Favorite movie as a kid in the 1980s. Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi of Star Wars were two that came out in the 80s. I'm sure Terry and my other friends out there can fill me in on other great movies that came out in the 80s, not this. I know a lot of people hate this movie, but I don't care what others say, because I really love this movie. You are objectively wrong. I grew up in the 80s and loved this movie when I was a kid and still enjoy it to this day. You have weird, dumb humor. It may be gross. It is gross for some people, for everybody, but I thought it was so funny. I was a huge fan of the trading cards as a kid, so nostalgia, and was so excited to find this movie and get to watch it and have some fun. I mean, you have those two trains of thought of, I love this movie. This is so much fun. This is a childhood classic. And sure, it's kind of bad. I don't care. From my childhood favorites, trading card game was kind of a favorite. I think I'll still criticize you either way, or criticism either way. Cool movie for a 7-year-old. That's a little bit too old, for my opinion. From my 7-year-old, I like the characters. I'm glad they made the movie. I'm thankful for it. I'm glad the guys made it look cool, but I'm not happy your parents showed you this movie. Okay, since 80% of these 1,300 reviews are 5 stars, I'm not going to go through everything. So, total garbage. It's probably ironic for these 5 stars. Oh gosh, this film is bad as I remember, but it makes it so fun. I just like seeing a Ring movie I watched 5 days ago. I couldn't imagine getting creepy phone calls from this film from watching it. I'd rather watch The Ring over Garbage Pail. Rather watch The Ring over the Garbage Pail Kids. It's a classic that no one has, a classic that nobody should have. Bought this for my daughter, and she's seen it as, I feel bad for both of you. Childhood memories, bad movie, good times. Garbage Pail Kids are a rare treat. And then very few reviews. I think the rest of these people are just afraid to bring up the badness and just afraid to give it the 1 or 2 stars. I think eventually I might go ahead and leave my own review here. Leave my own thoughts here. Okay. We'll skim through the IMdB. Well, we were just there. The IMdB reviews for this. All right. Reviews of IMdB trivia page. I think this is a 2-something out of 10 stars for IMdB. Just gonna double check. Okay, device is still going. 1 out of 10, offensively awful. How did this movie get made? And what in the world was that? 1 out of 10, thank God I grew up. Thank God, hopefully a lot of us grew up. Even worse than I remembered. Pure garbage, tangerine juice, and fashion. Yeah, pretty good headline there. Why can't I put in a 0? Why can't I put in a -50? Give me back my lost hour and a half right there with you. This movie is terrible. One of the fascinating things about the cast is that the 2 main characters, Dodger and Tangerine, happen to look at least 8 years apart, but are in fact only 12 months apart. Huh. Maybe the Tangerine actress was just like a tall girl, a tall 15-year-old or so. So, I mean, they're still a creepy couple, still kind of a weird, flirtatious couple, and I think they just look that way because she looks taller and looks older. The casting director could have cast better bullies and could have cast a better girlfriend for the Dodger character to have someone who is maybe more his size and such and not look like this creepy, like he's short and she's taller and she looks more mature than he does. The Garbage Pail Kids themselves have awful costumes that are very poorly designed and really badly operated. The puppeteers need to be shot. I don't know if I would go that far, but it was very rushed. I don't know. Wouldn't go that far. I decided to find this movie and watch it because I haven't seen it since it first came out, and I was sure I enjoyed it as a kid, but what was wrong with me? Save yourself disappointing hour and a half. Well, I had a deal to keep. I had a punishment to keep, so I watched it there. 4 out of 10, holy heck. 1 out of 10, what the hell? 1 out of 10, absolutely awful. No other words besides dreadful could sum up this movie. Can I navigate to the 5 stars? Or the 10 stars? The highest rated? Is that possible as this loads up? Oh boy, okay, I'm seeing a few of these. Best I've seen, totally amazing. It really touched my heart. Can't believe I missed out on this for decades. Made Maddie or made my soul wipe. Son or honey or whoever. Much better movies out there. This movie kicks butt. Used to collect Garbage Pail Kids cards, 4 to 5 cards in the deck, and then stick a gun. Parents thought the cards were sick and they didn't approve. Excuse me, of the chewing gum either. So that's 3 reasons why his kids were so attracted to the cards, the gum. Parents hated it. So nostalgia in here. You're kind of in the nostalgia camp. Great movie, 80s perfect. You are wrong. I don't care if I lose all my non-existent credibility. You still lose your non-existent credibility and your all the credibility. Truly garbage, the stinkiest mess ever. So there's that third camp of irony. So bad it's good. One of the best 80s kids movies ever made. I don't think that's ironic or being said ironically, but you're wrong. Open up that garbage can and celebrate. No, do not ever open that garbage can. Do not celebrate as not celebrated. Best movie? No, it's not. Love it, loathe it, and watch it. Hate it, loathe it, never watch it. I'm just coming up with all these great alternate headlines here. You're welcome. The best movie to come out of the dump. No, it's not. Reminds me of being a kid. Oh, I feel sorry that this movie reminds you that much of being a kid. Really good movie. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. No, I highly recommend the movie. I love it. It's one of my childhood favorites. Aladdin, The Rescuers Down Under, or The Rescuers 1, The Rescuers Down Under. 3 movies that are my childhood, that are childhood favorites that I recommend. Just saying. Okay, I'm getting over dramatic and overly long with this. I need to jump onto Rotten Tomatoes real quick, and we will conclude, and I won't have to talk about this movie ever again. Right. Okay, jumping over here. Rotten Tomatoes, please don't be as positive as IMdB. And do not be as positive as Amazon reviews were, as the big positive Amazon reviews were. Don't be 5 stars. Where I'll have to search it. I'm just stuck in the Garbage Pail Kids is just loaded up. Garbage Pail Kids Movie right there. See, this video is slowly turning into the runtime of the other movie. I'm 10 minutes away. Well, 9 minutes away or so. From this being the same runtime. But much better video than this movie. 0% tomato meter. The critics are, they're on par. They know what's up. 27% audience score. So some audiences out there are still optimistic. Can I take just a quick look at the highest reviews? Absolutely love this movie. I'm Jim Z that loves the 80s, so if you love the 80s movie, it's definitely a must-watch. No, it's not. I watched the movie over the summer. One year, my family and I absolutely fell in love with the movie. This movie is in my top 3, and I recommend it completely. I also love Dodge's relationship. Okay, no, you suck. You're out. Get out. Ick. I'm only giving this 5 stars to make up for all the great hate. It's really 2.5 stars. Okay. I mean, if you look into it, you'll find positive reviews for just about anything, and that's just kind of the nature of people who look at things as highly and favorably as they do. All right, down. Look at that. I passed it very quickly. Look at that. All these Rotten Tomatoes, all in here. Ill-considered kids, and this really bargain basement. Aside from the casting of Mackenzie Aston, this crude live-action takeoff on the Cabbage Patch phenomenon. Yep, which this movie came from, and the Garbage Pail Kids phenomenon came from. Ought to have had star Anthony Newley humming "Stop the movie! I want to get off." He didn't hum that or sing that quickly enough. What Garbage amounts to is just that, an ugly, brutal, humorless exploitation flick. It's a terrible, terrible movie, but one that oddly warrants at least one viewing for the masochistic and morbidly curious, or someone who didn't say no to a bad deal. Geez, that stench is unbearable. No review. I mean, no words are better than any words at all for this movie. Real rubbish. Yeah, these are leaning toward the same crowd here, obviously. Okie dokie. So there's all that. There is this movie. I'm going to hold it like that. There's that movie. I never have to watch again. I never have to talk about it again. Terry, you had better be satisfied. Disclaimer. I actually talked about this movie a couple of days ago, but that video ended up going like really long, like an hour 40 seconds or so. But I messed up a couple times and I wasn't able to edit anything. So this is take 2. So I'm looking over all these reviews the second time and looking over all my notes the second time. You're welcome. Punishment done. Punishment now being done. And for the rest of you, I hope you enjoyed and stuck around this long. Thank you very much for sticking around this long. Thank you very much for watching. Do not watch this movie. Don't watch this movie. You don't need to watch this movie. Just watch the Nostalgia Critics review on this movie, which is still a great classic. You don't need to... Don't watch this movie. Please don't watch this movie. Please don't watch this movie. Everyone else, like I said, comment down below your favorite childhood movies out there. Recommend to everybody else who maybe is just now getting familiar with this movie, everyone else who might somehow, for whatever reason, enjoy this movie or actually think it's maybe actually a great movie. What are some other great kids movies that are out there? What are some of your favorite kids movies that you recommend to everyone else who might be showing their kids garbage, who might be showing their kids the humorless, ridiculous, maybe Emoji Movie or Garbage Pail movie stuff? Please comment below, let me know, and let everyone else know all the other movies out there. So yeah, that talk on the Garbage Pail Kids movie, that's what I watched, that's why I watched it, and that's how I'm never gonna watch this movie again as I'm thumping down on this desk here. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for sticking around as long as you have. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to this channel if you like filmmaking type of stuff. I have a demo reel of a lot of my past few years or so of work coming out hopefully later this week, and a couple of videos I have planned to show off some more ticket stubs I've gotten from some much better movies that I saw early this year. This year has been fantastic. This year has been really great for movies. I just went to Can't talk anymore after all this garbage stuff. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, the Nick Cage movie, and I watched The Outfit before that, and I'm about to check out Top Gun Maverick sooner or later. Just all these great movies that are coming out this year. Everything Everywhere All at Once has been getting a lot of great views, and it's been making a lot of money. Michelle Yeoh, Ki Hu Kwan, the Short Round Guy. Great movie. There are lots of great movies out there. We don't have to watch garbage like this. So many great movies out this year. Let me know in the comments as well what your favorite movie of this year so far, what you have liked, and how to avoid this bad movie. So thanks again for watching. Look forward to more movies. Well, more videos soon as I need to go to bed and stop thinking about this movie. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, avoid this movie, and I will see you later. Watch the great movies. Try to learn from any bad ones.